Hello and welcome to this very special EMO podcast. And the reason we're putting this on in the lead up to EMO is because you and we know how big this show is. So we want to help you make your time more efficient whilst you're at the show. So today we're going to be talking about some of the new technology that's going to be on show and some places that you really must visit. So I am joined today with Paul Jones, Rowan,
hello,
Easter Robinson, and Tom Scabala.
Hello.
And we're going to be talking about probably about 10 companies, all with new technology today, but it is one of a few in the series in the lead up to EMO. So let's start off. Let's kickstart. How is everyone today?
Really good. Can't wait for EMO.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Have you got your shoes prepared, Paul?
I have.
You know.
I've got
Soft soles.
several pairs which I'll need.
You need to break them in first, though,
Yeah, I do,
because
yeah.
Need some march support as well. I'm going to need some march support or something. Just to keep my
But the
feet
date's
happy.
18th to the 23rd of September,
Yeah.
and so not far off now.
no, you always think, oh, it's fine, it's far away, and then it creeps up, and then it's there. So we've got all of our flights booked. Some of us are driving as well, aren't
Yes, me and Rowan are driving over.
Yeah, with Colin, we've got a long way to go.
It's because you've got to take all this gear, haven't you? I mean, we're going to be.
so much stuff to take.
It's
Oh
gonna
no,
be-
did you not hear? We're just driving with nothing. You're still taking it all.
Oh, is that right? Oh gosh, so it won't be
Don't
me.
know about that. And whilst we're at EMO, we're going to be doing some live streaming. We're going to be doing lots of videos on different stands. And let's kickstart with the first stand. So WFL. Now, this is a company that is really typically known for larger application multitasking technology. So you're talking about your oil and gas, your nuclear, your aerospace. So imagine big parts. What's happening on the WFL stand?
I think if you go into a show, you will obviously see, or you want to see, machines that you might not see in the workshop or a regular workshop. This is a stand where that is the case. I mean, the WFL multitasking machines, specifically the M50 plus another there, will always have some of the most amazing applications on, won't they? They'll have parts on there that, as you mentioned, the industries, nuclear, oil and gas, really industrial components, but leaning towards that multitasking technology. So turning, milling, grinding, all of those things in one. But they're also adding this element of automation to that this time round. And you know a bit more about this than me, Rowan, but AGV vehicle taking, things like tools and various other accessories to and from the machine. So you're turning a multitasking machine into a kind of lights out running machine as well, which we all like to see, don't we?
Yeah, and I think it's safe to say that if you go to any show where WFL are present, they will be showing off probably one of, if not the, debatably most impressive components. It'll be like a big kind of turn shaft with loads of milled features on it, not just kind of a few diameters. And like you say, grinding as well is obviously a big part of the WFL offering, but seeing stuff that's been milled really complex, as well as being able to do kind of the rough turning and finishing. And
some might argue that it's a product that's out of their reach or out of their league or has no relevance to the parts that they're making, because they are big. But what it does show you is where technology is going and what is achievable on machines of such advanced capability. And certainly with the automation added to it as well.
Is there any new launches, and why should I go to this stand? I know you've kind of sold it to me already, but what would be the reason that I need to go and visit their stand?
You want to see amazing applications from all kinds of industries, but you also want to see how they're advancing that from their technology, where they would make parts in one hit, really complex, large components. I mean, you take a part that is, I don't know, I'm not even going to begin to suggest a weight, but that you don't want to be moving from a machine to a machine. A WFL machine will handle all the turning, handle all the milling, handle all the other processes in one. So you're taking away that thing you don't want, to moving big parts around, but now you're adding automation to it. And these automated vehicles are enabling companies to change tools, change chucks, change other things on the machine. So they're taking away the operator as well. So this it's all new and very relevant to industry.
And it's interesting that WFL have started showing this off at EMO, because obviously we've heard of AGVs, automated guided vehicles, being used in industry, more specifically in kind of automotive. So Lotus use AGVs to inspect cars that are kind of half assembled. I think you saw them,
I've
Lindsay.
seen that,
Yeah,
yes,
you've
I
seen
have.
those. So they are used in production, but generally that's like really high spec automotive kind of bespoke cars. But now that's filtering down as technology kind of does into more job shop, more subcontracts. So you might start seeing AGVs used in, I know someone who's looking at AGVs potentially for kind of tool changing and stuff like that, which is fascinating that you might actually see it in kind of the general
We want to see it
marketplace.
adopted. It's great to see it at shows,
Yeah.
but you now need to start seeing it filtering down.
So it will be impressive. So if you are basically essentially making big parts, you want to see them being moved around your machine shop more easily, make sure you visit the WFL stand. Perfect. Right, okay, then next up we've got Lang, okay? So Lang Work Holding, they're Lang Work Holding specialist, we know that. Global company, but there's a bit of a mystery surrounding the Lang stand. Why is that, Tom? What's this all about?
Well, they'll not tell us anything about
What?
the new products they're bringing.
What? So they're not going to tell us? So we're going on a podcast to encourage people to go to the stand because of...
Well, they're just not going to tell
a
us.
mystery.
They are not going to tell us. We've asked, and they're keeping it very tightly wrapped
this.
until EMO. So it's going to be something special. It's going to be an industry first. So yeah, we need to wait for that.
Okay,
But saying that,
yeah.
obviously for most people going to a show, they're looking for a solution for a problem. So Lang is all work holding, 5-axis work holding. So they'll have the compact, the macro grip range, which we've all seen, the nice low compact devices. So if you're struggling for space on a machine or you've got a smaller table, they're great for that. They're also going to be showing their stamping technology. So obviously, if you've got a 5-axis or even a 6-axis machine, which is throwing that part round, you don't want that workpiece to come out because
No, of course.
some parts can be worth thousands and thousands of pounds, and your last stop, you throw it out the vise, scrap, you don't want it. So they have the stamping technology, so when the vise is clamped, it is secure. It cannot physically come out. They have also their quick point plates, which the 0 point, which is great for people that want to have repeatability. So that you can take one vise off, stick another vise on, and the part is in the exact same place it was before. So that just helps people with automation, repeatability, and tolerances, because if you're taking material in and out, if you don't get it in the exact space, then you could scrap that part. So that...
And what I love, you mentioned the stamping jaws. You can those can actually repeat quite well. I
Yes,
remember you
so
saying, Tom.
we spoke to a couple of customers in the last month, actually, who one of the guys had finished a part and actually forgot to put a hole in.
As you do, sometimes you might
Sometimes
do as
it
an
happens,
operator.
sometimes it
We're all
happens.
human, right?
So they actually just stuck the billet back in the vise on the same jaw marks they did before, drilled the hole, and it was in the exact same place.
What was the top? It must have been quite an open tolerance, surely. I mean,
We've got a
it was
skeptic
only-
over here.
It was only a nominal tolerance. It wasn't microns, but obviously it's just another thing that can help an operator if they go wrong.
It's a nice to have, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's not
it's-
like you can't be doing that normally,
yeah.
but if in the
You
off
can't be
chance
using
you
it
make
day
a
in, day
mistake,
out.
why did they forget the hole? I mean,
It's
come
just,
on.
we've all been there.
Poor
We've all
Con, we're not
forgotten.
all
Paul,
perfect,
are you
man.
are you I mean, we've heard all sorts of stories.
put
of
your hand
you.
up if you've made a mistake in your life. There we go. There
No,
you go.
Paul, what are you doing? You can put your hand up.
The addition of automation with Lang as well is something I see you cover a lot, which I'm sure they'll show as well. And I think those two different elements of manufacturing, Lang can put them together now, can't they? So you're not going to different companies to solve one problem. You can use one to solve.
And it's great because they've actually got two automation systems at EMO, which they have the RoboTrek system, which is awesome, to be honest, because there's no wiring up to the machine, as in hydraulics or pneumatics. It's just simply plugged in, so you've got the power, and then the whole robot system is just run by a sub-program.
So that is where you have your kind of work holding in your tool changing system, and it'll bring out. Is that a different product?
We'll get back to that. That's the Halbeck system, which
okay.
is that's an industry first. But we'll get. So this is you've got your nice little robot cell at the side, which is on wheels. So if you don't need it on that machine, you can just wheel it to the next. Once it's set up and programmed, that's it. You're done. If you move it from machine to machine, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the size of the workpiece. It's set because it only clamps the vise. It doesn't clamp what's in the vise. So it's really quick, really easy to set up, and it's just really easy.
And that's one of the questions when more subcontractors are adopting automation. They don't have those high volumes that make sense. Where most automation systems would make sense. It's all about the changeover times, is what you want to try and reduce.
So just being able to move it from one machine to another instead of trying to break two machines down to swap all the tooling over, just makes life so much easier. And then back to what you were saying, they have the Halbeck system.
This is what I thought you were talking about earlier.
So this was actually released at A&B, and it's a new automation system for people who don't want robots, because it actually goes up into the tool changer. And it's essentially a big dome that comes down, clamps the vise, and away it goes. Takes the vise into the tool changer and drops another one in. So I want to say it's a cheap and effective way of smaller companies to get automation without robots, and it really works. We've been to a few companies now who obviously it's worked really well, and they've now been able to run through the night, lights out, where they couldn't before.
And that could be so useful for job shops that can't afford a new machine and need more capacity, have kind of backlogs building up. And you get kind of, I guess, running overnight means you could run from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Someone else can come and start loading up the machine again. So you might get 8 hours of free production time.
Exactly. And it's the same again. It takes no pneumatics. This one has no plugging into the machine at all. You screw the base onto the top of a quick point plate, and then it's all done by just pressure. As it pushes down, it flicks the switch, and away it goes.
Okay, so if you want some of the latest developments in work holding, automation, and a little bit of mystery too, then make sure you're visiting the Lang stand. Next up, we've got Chetto. Now, Chetto are a specialist machine tool builder, and they make general machines, but they specialise in deep hole gun drilling machines. That's quite specific, isn't it, Rowan?
Absolutely. So the machine builder here is called Chetto. They're based in Portugal, and they make some fascinating we've seen a lot of machine tools. In my time at kind of MTD, you see a lot of 5-axis machines, a lot of fascinating machines that can make lots of different kinds of components. But I've never seen a machine that has gun drilling and general machining as kind of as part of it. It's almost like the milling is important, but the gun drilling is just as important for components like mold making, where you've got lots of cooling holes that are maybe like have L/D ratios of 20, 25, 30 times, and you simply cannot drill that with a normal milling machine or even a lathe. So instead, these are big 5-axis machines. They do a couple of smaller ones as well that have tool changeable gun drilling arms, as well as a standard spindle that can handle kind of standard 5-axis milling operations. So they're going to be showing off an IXN 2500, which is one of their kind of flagship products. It's 2.5 meter bed, or 2.5 meter travel in the X-axis. And these machines come in loads of different configurations based on the size of your components, how much swing you need, because they've got like a C-axis. But the important thing with these machines is either you can have a single gun drill arm that you change by hand, so you come in and do general finishing operations on your mold parts. You'll get an operator to load up a gun drill, and then that'll do, I don't know, like sometimes a 40 L/D ratio hole. Or they've got a patent on tool changing the gun drill side of things. So you can have multiple drills, and these are ridiculously long drills, maybe 8 to 12 millimeter diameter. And then they can actually tool change these as part of like your general process. Because normally when you're doing mold making, there's a lot of manual changeovers from kind of an older roughing machine to kind of a semi-finishing machine. Then you put it on a specialist gun drilling machine to do all the cooling, all the runner holes in the part, and then you'll go and finish it on your high spec 5-axis machine. With the Chetto machine, you can compress a lot of those operations down into one. And I don't think many mold makers, even those who've been around the block for a long time and have a lot of machinery, I don't think they'll have seen a machine that can do these kinds of operations all in one go. And I think sometimes this can be a real time saver that some mold makers won't even know is possible.
Will they be taking their molds off their machines, other people traditionally then gun drilling them on a different machine then?
Yep, totally.
So there's a risk involved in moving that part around, isn't there? As well as the time, getting the right capacity at the right time. So is this unusual? I mean, I don't know much about gun drilling, so I've not seen these machines before. But people go into the event, will they be seeing something that you think not many others are offering? No,
there's not many machine builders that I'm aware of. I mean, send us a comment if you're aware of some other builders, but I don't think there's many that do this style of machine. And it can be a complete game changer for mold makers, even for those in aerospace and energy who've got components that are similar, that need complex, fine finishing on five axis components with those long holes.
Yeah.
And the tolerances on the long holes don't have to be so tight to justify spending this much money on a machine. It's just a capability thing. With a standard machine tool, you cannot drill a 40 L over D hole. You simply can't do it. You need that gun drilling attachment. So that's really important for people who've got those kinds of components to have a look at Cheto. And they've only been going for 12 or 13 years.
Where did the name come from?
Cheto, I don't actually know, I'm afraid.
Okay.
Cheto. I mean, I know there's an American crisp brand that sounds fairly similar, and we've been mispronouncing it off camera, which we've been very clear that it's a Cheto machine tool.
So there you go.
Yeah, but they've only been going for 12 or 13 years, and it's not just the hardware that's really impressive about the company. It's about the software as well. They've got some fascinating machine tool monitoring software they're coming out with, and they're really making a lot of innovations in the software machine tool control space as well. So definitely go check out Cheto. They're showing off one machine on site, but I don't know what else they're showing exactly, but hopefully they'll show some of the tool monitoring as well. They've also got a smaller SIC machine that they offer, so doesn't have to be as big as.
I feel like you work for them, Rowan.
I know, sorry.
Job,
I know. Yeah, well, I went over
we
there.
haven't needed to intervene in this one at all.
I know we haven't.
Section on its own.
Right, we're going to round up on this one. So
Okay,
if you're looking
that's done.
to,
That's
we
Cheto.
love it. We love it, Rowan. Give everyone a teaser for going onto the stand. So if you're in the mould and die industry, you said aerospace. If you're looking to save time, money, have more applications on one machine, then make sure you go to the Cheto stand. Right, next up then is Starrag. So, of course, we know Starrag a lot. They're a global technology leader in manufacturing high-precision machine tools. And, they cover milling, turning, boring, grinding. But they've got some new launches on the stand, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, I was at their tech days in Switzerland a couple of weeks ago, and some of the technology they're coming out with, one specific one, which is the STC 1250. This is on show at the event. There is originally a 1250. It's a horizontal 5-axis machine. Now, one of the cuts they were doing on the tech days, I said this to the guys earlier, 63 mil width, 63 mil depth, titanium in one hit. And this is the machine that was producing it. And you put your hand on the side and literally no vibration. It was just
What would you
incredible.
normally be expecting?
I'm probably the wrong person to ask, to be honest. Maybe these guys that have been recently on machines. I mean, Tom, cutting Inconel like that. I know it's a different animal, but it's a hell of a cut, isn't it?
Well, cutting titanium on itself is a problem because it can just give you all sorts of problems. But to take 63 mil depth is unheard of. But then to take 63 mil step over at the same time,
And that's in one pass.
I'd assume that's an indexable cutter they're using, not a solid carbide.
Yeah.
Gotta be a
exactly,
porcupine, hasn't it?
exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely
That's exactly
huge.
it. And we might be able to put a cutaway. I know you'll be listening, but if you're watching this, we might be able to put a cutaway over the top. But the STC 1250 machine, this horizontal 5-axis, it's a hydrostatic guideway machine. And this is their big innovation with this machine. Basically, that means that the travelling axes or the box guideways run with oil. So there's no friction, there's no touching surfaces, which means it's much smoother, there's less wear. It can be faster as well. So all of these things make for a much better machine. And to illustrate this at the event, they'll be having actually a column which is 12 tons on top of a box guideway, and you'll be able to just move it with your hand, which just shows you what they've developed.
And you'll be able to feel how smooth that movement is.
Exactly, and how easy it is, which then really highlights and rubber stamps all the points we're making about less wear, speed, and ability. So that's the STC 1250. Really, Starrag as a business will be really interesting for companies that are either making really large structures, aerospace parts with their EcoSpeed or the ST 1250 I'm talking about, or even down to the luxury goods with their Boomertech S191, I think, is on the stand making parts for watches and
I know,
also the medical
Starrag I
sector.
often think is your big
You do,
machines,
it's a common
they
misconception
have,
because they have a solution for, across all of the, these types of industries. They've also got the launch of a brand new machine, which is the Hecate H95. This will be a horizontal machining centre as well. So keeping in line with recent developments of producing Hecate machines, very affordable for all industries, not just your OEMs, but your subcontract market as well. So a stand that will be, will be exciting to visit.
Paul, off camera, you said just a line earlier and it stayed with me, but you said Starrag are known for making big chips. Is that what you said earlier? There was something that you said.
There's a volume, and I can't remember what it was, but I was there a couple of weeks ago. Their Echo Speed machine, there was a drum, and it was full of chips, and it was probably as high as me, 6'4", and as wide as me, 32-inch waist or whatever you want to call it. And this was just full of
strong
chips.
Jaw.
Yeah, strong
David
jaw.
Gandy lookalike.
And it produced it filled this up in like less than a minute. I mean, it was seconds, and that is chip removal, and that's what they're about, a lot of their machines. But on the other side, they're about precision, they're about multitasking, they're about really tight tolerances and great surface finishes. So Starrag, looking forward to being on their stand. I think the highlight for me would have to be that STC 1250, but as I say, there's a new machine launch as well, which is the H95, so plenty to see.
Okay, so next up is Herco. So we know Herco, we see them quite often, but they're CNC lathe and machining centre specialists. We do a lot of case studies with Herco. We often talk about their software and their programs, but also their automation solutions. I think not enough people probably know what they offer to market. So who's going to talk about Herco?
I'll take Herco.
Go on then.
then. Well, obviously, Herco are known for the milling machines, not so much the lathes, but even less so is their mill turn machines. So they will be showing at EMO the TM8MI, got that in one go, which is a true slant bed mill turn machine, and it's sort of a smaller machine in the range because it's for like your small, your medium parts that need something milling, something drilling on the back end. So I'm quite looking forward to seeing that because I've never actually seen one yet.
Yeah, and just so you know, if you don't know who Tom is, but Tom is a ex-machinist. Maybe you're still doing some machining now, but the main machines you were working on were Herco's.
Yes.
So this is quite exciting for you.
It is. And one of the other things is, just before we get onto the automation side, is they're going to be showing off the Max 5 control. Now, I used the Max 5 control, but before they brought out their new solid model import, which is an absolute game changer. And if anyone hasn't seen it, they really need to have a look at it, because it takes all the programming, it just takes all the headache away.
And can you clarify, because there is a DXF import option previously in the Winmax controls.
So you could, obviously on your CAM system, you could get a DXF, plug it into the side of the control, and then program straight off the DXF for like your outer contour, your holes, locations. But now you can actually just plug the entire model in, program straight from the model, and then also if you've got a 5-axis and you say, look, I want holes on each side of a cube, the machine will automatically pick the fastest route for you. So it optimizes your program as well as you're programming it. And then normally if you've got a 3D surface or quite a big rad, you would have to program that offline on a CAM system. You can program that now straight from the control.
It's fascinating how much technology that previously would be separated is now getting pushed onto the machine control.
And
probably changing the way people work.
Exactly. And the thing is with the Max 5 control is you can buy the machine with one screen, or you can opt for the second screen. So when you're programming, you can have the second screen on simulation all the time. And then if you simulate it and there's a bad bit of code in there, or something's not cutting how you want, you can actually click the simulation and it will bring up the program and the part you want to see.
And that's perfect for someone. Imagine someone starting up as a machine shop and they want to buy one machine just to start off with. They can do everything on. You've got CAM system, you've got simulation, you can do everything stood at that control in a little unit, in kind of encapsulated by itself. You don't need an office, you don't need a PC.
Exactly. And you look at your job shops, your precision shops who are doing 5, 6, 7 different jobs a day, 5, 6 different materials a day. So you've got to be able to program quickly on the spot. The control just helps you, and it helps you out the whole way.
And at the event, they're always, Herco are very good at being able to show you that. So if you go into the event, they have their control systems, the panels there dedicated, their staff to say, come here, look at how we do this. And I think I would encourage people, I think you made a perfectly good point there, not that you didn't, Tom, but about new users into CNC. It is a control that really people get to grips with very, very quickly. And also the turning for me. There are a lot of Herco machining centre users out there that probably know they do lathes, or if they don't know they do lathes, there is some companies like to have a machine tool supplier that supplies them with a 5-axis, a machining centre, a turning centre, just for the familiarity and the service and all the rest of it. Herco, previously it was machining centres and 5-axis machines, and now it's turning too.
And the thing is with the control as well, and I know we spoke about this previously on other things where there's a skill shortage and trying to get young people into engineering is quite difficult. The Herco control is all bright and flashing. It looks like your phone. So we've been to places with apprentices who just absolutely love running them, because if you can run your phone, you can run a Herco. So, and just quick before we finish, they have their Pro Feeder and their Pro Call bots, which they will have running through the week, loading machines.
Yeah.
And all this system is already in the control. So if you've bought a machine and then want to have automation later on, it's already in the control. You don't have to re-retrofit it.
I think you just need to talk to Tom if you're looking to get...
Has he gone over time again?
That's fine. Find me an email. We can talk about it all you want.
That's fine. So basically, if you visit the Herco stand, you're going to be covering the game-changing control. You've got automation, the mill turn. Again, if you're a new user and you're looking to go, right, what machine tool brand can I go and start talking to, then we'd encourage you to go there. And of course, the turning centres as well. So there's Herco. Next up, we've got Fidia. Now, this is a Italian-based business that provide high-speed machines, but they're a global outfit. But there's something quite interesting about their technology, isn't there? I think, Rowan, you're going to cover Fidia.
Yep, so they're an Italian machine builder, and they do kind of big gantry-style machines, which I guess are good for big components. If you've got, you want to hit a lot of different sides of a component with the really classic, complex high-tech 5-axis head that you get from quite a lot of different machine tool builders. It's so important to be able to access from underside, get undercuts in your components, and try and do as many faces in once to get those components made in one hit, because these are generally kind of quite big aerospace parts, oil and gas parts, and you don't want to be moving them around because they're big, they're heavy, you might have to stick them on a crane or a forklift, so you want to spend that time, just get them in the machine once and be able to access it from all sides and do loads of different kinds of operations.
I always think like a die for a bonnet of a car or something. It's the sort of thing you see in exhibition, and the good thing about these machines, again, like we spoke about WFL earlier on, and lots of others, but you don't often see this type of machine other than an exhibition. It is the time to really go and see it. And these gantry style machines, the beds are fixed. All the movement is done from the column or the ram. So you're moving the spindle to the part, which means you're not lugging big heavy parts around on the table. So it fits perfectly into those sort of heavier industries, high-speed surfacing as well, really good surface finishes and stuff like that. So it's a machine. I think if you go into EMO and you want to see the latest and the greatest and kind of the biggest types of solutions, then it would be certainly another option.
And I think on the website they mention manual finishing previously kind of historically has been really time consuming and take a lot of human effort to achieve. You kind of rough out on a general machine tool, but they would never be able to hit A, surface finishes, and B, the tolerances that like your door bonnet kind of metal punch die would require. It'd have to be polished by hand to get the right surface finishes on the like.
But that applies to loads of things I'm hearing these days. Everybody's trying to reduce that polishing operation, aren't they? Because it is so labour intensive, certainly on bigger parts.
Absolutely, and that's where kind of the machine. Not only does the mechanical design come into its own with the Fidia machinery, but also they focus a lot on their machine control systems, which are what actually drives everything. That's the kind of the bedrock of what makes sure the machine hits all those points around kind of a curve or a complex contour correctly, that actually successfully eliminates manual finishing. So I think a lot of companies will say you can hit, I don't know, 3 micron repeatable tolerances on this huge area, but it's a really hard thing to do that correctly and also get the good surface finish. You kind of need both, and they're kind of in tension with each other. So that's always a fascinating thing to see from machine builders. And
it's like a mirror. So if in the show, if you need to brush up, check what you look like. I'm sure they'll have an application.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing this machine
I
because
wasn't aiming that at anyone specific.
wow, okay.
Shaved just for you. Can't you tell,
Just for
Paul?
you, Paul.
Can't you
I
tell?
thought you were talking about bedrock. I thought we were going to go on to the Flintstones.
We could do.
Right, okay, so there you have your video machines, so large gantry style machines. If you're looking for the latest, greatest, go and head to their stand, and we're all talking about the high quality finish on those big parts. Next up, we're going to RegoFix. Now, they're a tool holder specialist. They've got over 300 employees, so this is a big company. They're based in Switzerland, but they have something unique to bring to the market. You know, you're going to do that at EMO, aren't you?
Absolutely. So tool holding, what is the biggest thing with tool holding?
It's not pulling your tool out the holder.
Absolutely. So with tool holding, it's all about clamping force and run out. Now you want to make sure you're holding your drill, your boring bar, your end mill as strong as possible, so it doesn't pull out your holder, it doesn't slip. And also run out is such a big consideration when you're clamping an end mill or a drill. Why is run out important, Tom? And
Well, run out is because your surface finish, but also if your tool holder's not up to scratch, you're going to get the damping in the tool holder is not going to be great, which means you're going to get vibration, which means your surface finish is going to go. And we all know now with aerospace parts, a lot of it has got to be absolutely perfect. No defects, no nothing. So you need to have the right holder. And they're bringing to EMO the
It's the power grip,
Power Grip,
Yeah.
which is essentially, I don't even understand how it works, to be honest. You'll be better explaining this because you don't clamp it.
you kind of do clamp it, but you have to have a special mechanical machine. And the reason you need that is it's almost like a collet holder, but normally with collet holders, with kind of ER32 chucks, you have like quite a wide taper, and you clamp it down, and that'll achieve kind of pretty good clamping force and run out. But with the kind of the mechanical design choice with tapers is the shallower the taper, so you go from like 1 in 32 to 1 in 10. The shallower the taper, the better your concentration, the better your run out, and the better your clamping force. Can you imagine a taper like that is going to sit in really nicely, compared to a taper like that is not as going to have as much taper contact. So the tighter you bring the taper in, the better your cutting performance is. But the tighter the taper, the stronger it will go inside the taper. And if you clamped in a 1 in 10 taper just by hand with a standard tool holder nut, it would just not come out again because it would be so tight in that tool holder. So the tightest you get is kind of a 1 in 16 normally. That's like an SK collet. If you go any tighter than that, it just will not come back out again. So that's a good balance between being able to change your tool and also run out and clamping force. Now, the power grip is, I think it's about a 1 in 10 taper. It's a really tight taper. And if you were to just clamp that down by hand, it would not come back out again. But the torque, the cutting, the run out and the clamping torque are absolutely fantastic.
But the tool's just put in like a press fit. So you think on using your normal tools, an ER32, you're clamping it by hand. A shrink fit tool, it's all done by the heat. A hydraulic holder, you've still got an Allen key which tightens it up. So you are physically doing something to tighten that tool up. But with this new system, you don't do anything. It is literally just pressed into the holder. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this works, because it seems an absolute brilliant idea.
You know what I love as well about EMO and these events is often we talk to people and we say about technology is changing, but you don't see brand new products come to market. So it's quite good to hear you guys getting excited about something that you haven't seen before, because sometimes you can see a development and an evolution, but this is new to you guys. So that's good to hear.
Well, there's something new as well, because that's not the only thing they're bringing.
Is it the
to EMO.
recall?
It's the recall.
Yeah.
So obviously we've all seen angle heads being used, and I know one of the biggest problems for angle heads is getting coolant to the end of the tool or the end of the drill. If you've got a long drilling, you are just using your coolant lines to try and force the coolant there, which you can't normally do through coolant on it. So now they're bringing the recall, which is a special adapter that goes onto the head, which then allows for you to have through coolant all the way through the angle head to the end of the drill, which for people using angle heads on a day-to-day basis, must be a game changer.
Yeah, because I mean, I've used angle head before, Tom. Have you used
I
them
have.
much?
I used to use them all the time.
Yeah, and it's not that easily controllable a process, is it? Because you're kind of retrofitting this special head, and it's going in your drilling using like the x-axis rather than the z-axis.
Yeah, because you always have to try and get your head right as well, because X and Y and Z
it all messes
it all
itself
goes
up,
wrong,
doesn't
and you
it?
go.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I'm really looking forward to seeing what they've got on their stand,
Yeah,
because I think it's going to really help people out.
Yeah, trying to control that process is going to be very helpful.
Trying to control you pair at EMO as well is going to
we're
also
running
be a
around looking at
difficult task.
all this stuff.
Okay.
There's one more product they're going to be showing, which I think is the Spike from Pro Micron, to show off they've got a technical partnership, so they'll be showing smart tooling that's going to be measuring bending force and the bending moment and the force on the tool in cut as well. So that's something interesting
I love
to
it.
see.
So basically, all I'm going to say is RegoFix, if you want to see some new technology that maybe you've not seen before and some evolution in technology for your tool holders, then head to their stand. Korea is the next one. So they manufacture large size milling machines. Now they've got over 900 bridge type machines, 1,000 floor type machines, and 3,500 bed type machines out in the marketplace. These are big machines. They're impressive. What's going to be on their stand?
They are. I mean, it was about a year ago. We went to Korea in Spain where they were built. You remember that?
Yeah,
trip,
we went to Burgos factory.
Rowan lost his phone. He had it.
Yeah,
Is this on Park Bench?
I think we need to hear
we should
this
skip
story.
over this story.
No, I think we need to hear this
We're
story.
going to extend the time limit on this one just to add this story in. But he enjoyed the.
I think that should go to the Patreon subscribers. That story.
They put on a fabulous party the night before, which we all thoroughly enjoyed.
Brilliant.
The next day, we're in the factory filming. Rowan, you were the last up, I believe.
I'm not sure. I can't quite remember, to be honest, Paul. I don't know.
He needed a kip in the afternoon the next day, slept on the green, left his phone by his side, got nicked, didn't it?
Yeah, I fell asleep with my water bottle and my phone by my side. And I woke up, my water bottle was there, my phone was gone.
But what we saw there will be similar to what you'll see at EMO and what you'll see at a lot of the shows that Korea go to. They will have one of their Axia machines. Wasn't that funny? But they'll have one of their
I was
Axia
thinking what you're going to see there is Rowan with,
running around trying to find my phone somewhere.
They've actually got it. They've got your phone.
After all that, it's a long game.
One of the machines will be an Axia machine, which is an extremely stable milling machine, and they'll have their UAD head, which, okay, people go, well, UAD head on it, but the heads that Korea and others develop, these days, they're incredible. The technology that goes into them.
Yeah, the double hearth is fascinating
162 million positions. The strength as well. What you can achieve. I know Tom's mentioned this before, that I think at the last event they showed milling with the ram kind of not extended and then extended, producing the same cuts, the same depth of cuts with no compromise in the quality of the part, and chips were flying. And that's what they, one of the things, talking to Javier, what are we going to be doing for you, Javier, at EMO? You're going to be filming chips flying, which is what people want to see. So if you go into EMO, you want to see lots of metal cutting, proper metal cutting, in those kind of conditions, then you'll be able to see that on the Korea stand. They'll also have one of their, and one of the reasons behind the Axia and the stability and the bits that you mentioned to me, Tom, is their box-in-box construction that they have. So it's not just the head technology, it's everything that surrounds it, which they'll have on show there. And then they'll also have one of their Norma machines, which has got an integrated 5-axis table on it, so you can do, with the head, you can do 5-axis machining. But these machines are about multitasking as well. But these are big machines. These companies invest a lot of money to take such equipment to these events, and it's really impressive to see. And they're actually now moving into, well, they have been selling in the German market for a while, but they've now got a subsidiary as well in Germany.
Oh, okay.
What a great place to kind of show that off, the fact that actually business is good, we're growing, new technologies, and we're kind of stamping our mark into this territory by opening a subsidiary. But they've got pallet systems there. They'll be talking about the digital twins, which we are hearing so commonly about. But chips, and not the food chips. If you want to see big chips, it's a place to go. But they're also very good on their hams, their cheeses, and their wine as well. So,
what a stand.
Great place to visit.
There you go. There's another stand to visit. Okay, Barmier. So personally, I always say these are really sexy looking machines, I must admit. But Barmier, they're often known for their travelling columns or bed mill machines, but they are bringing something different to the table. And I believe, Rowan, you went out to their
So we were
open
about
house.
3 or 4 weeks ago. We went to the
Opportunity.
Opportunity event. I'm just like, yeah, you remember it? The Opportunity event was brilliant. They had customers coming from all over Europe, from kind of Eastern Europe, from everywhere, and it was fascinating to see how many different companies there were there who were using them to make loads of different kinds of components. Now they're kind of well known for these big mill turn machines, the ZVH, which we did a review on, so you can check that out on the YouTube channel. And what I love about the Ebamia machinery is they also focus a lot on their milling spindle technology. So they were showing off 2 new machines at Opportunity, the T12 and the T16, which is kind of like a universal milling machine. And the spindle assembly, well, they've got 2 different options. They've got the extreme and then the universal head, which can do turning as well. And that universal head has a ridiculously massive spindle assembly because it's made for really high performance vertical turning and also high performance milling as well. So they're going to be showing a demonstration of, which I think has kind of almost every milling operation under the sun.
So Rowan, who should go to their stand? What are they making to go, you know what?
There's 2 machines, isn't there?
So ZVH and T, I think the T series. And these are people who they've got tough materials. So we're not talking kind of light aluminium cuts that kind of a lot of machine builders might be happy to show off. This is real steel, if you'll excuse the phrase. And they're going to be cutting hard. So when we went to the Opportunity event, the demo is amazing. The amount the weight of the chips that were flying off that part was actually quite shocking. When it hits the door, I think everyone kind of jumped back a little bit in their chairs because it was so impressive. So you'll be seeing the new T machine, which is going to be probably the highlight of the stand. And again, this is for people who are doing real cuts and want to see some real cutting demonstrations, much like a few of the other machine builders. But this is also going to be definitely one not to miss.
Barmier, and having Dugard as a supplier here in the UK, we've worked with them for a bit, seen a few of their machines there in Hove. But now they've got a more universal offering rather than kind of the just bed or the travelling column style, haven't they? And that is what one of the launches is.
Absolutely. So the T machine, I mean, it's been around since 2012, I think, the T machine. So the T12 and T16 are new models. They've kind of got updated design choices, updated spindle power and various kind of spec improvements. But I don't think many people know they do this kind of universal milling center. And what I love as well is the automation options. So you can use it as a standalone machine. But they also offer like a single pallet changer or a full pallet pool. So this machine is not just for single kind of batch work on complex components. If you've got a lot of different kinds of components you need to do, you can then start looking at the automation options as well. So there's a lot of options from Ebamia, partly kind of the traveling column mill turn style, but also the universal milling center, which is for any component under the sun that maybe even needs some real rough turning on the outside as well. Come and have a look at the construction of the machines. When you see that, you'll realize actually how versatile that machine is and how strong and rigid it can be as well.
Nice. Okay, so if you're making heavy cuts, hitting tough materials, universal milling centers with multi pallets, then make sure that you're heading to the Ebamia stand. Thanks, Rowan. And finally, Brother. So we know Brother, they're very, the brand itself is huge, but a very small part of the brand, it's interesting, is their machining centres, because we know the brand globally. But they're known for producing very high, compact, high-speed machining centres. We've seen them around. What's new? I must admit, I know White House Machine Tool sell them in the UK, and I was there the other day. They talked a lot about economy, saving money. I know that's a small part of what they're going to have on the stand, but it is what everyone's talking about now.
Yeah, you're right about the other products. I was in Frankfurt last week actually with them because we're talking about other things that we're doing with their machines. But yeah, sewing machines, photocopiers and
printers. I once did an advert for Brother printers.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. It was, I was in a studio. It's probably the biggest studio shoot I've ever done. And how specific they were. There were hundreds of people on this shoot. It was amazing. And it was all to do to promote one small printer. And that is a bigger market than machine tools.
Of course.
It's crazy.
But the business for machine tools was founded based on a need to make parts for their other products. And that's where it came from, where it evolved from. But yeah, I think it applies to everybody in Europe, around the world. At the moment, you want to reduce costs where you can. Energy bills are high. I said it the other week to the guys there. Their machines are perfectly placed at the moment to be really, really attractive to onlookers, and that's why I think they will attract attention at EMO, because I think people will be going, where can I get my best bang for the buck? How can I make a part as quick as possible? How can I reduce the costs of that part? How can I keep it in a small footprint? All of these things is what the Brother machines offer.
And if you're looking at return on investment now, with how much energy costs are, if they're claiming and saying it's 70-80% better in terms of what you're spending,
energy saving.
Then they've got a really good sell.
It's a very powerful sales argument for them at the moment globally. Even the new BT30 technology that's performing in a lot of instances to what some BT40 machines can do, that's really important for tooling costs. The economy of the machine, like you've said, reducing what you have to pay in your bills.
And I guess if you've got shorter cycle times, that's less time the machine has to be on as well.
Absolutely,
so that's saving energy.
And the cycle times of making the parts, the tool change times,
Chip to chip
0.7, 0.8, whatever it is, chip to chip. All of these things are reasons when I think people will go to EMO. They'll be attracted to stands like what Brother show. As for the new highlights, what I found fascinating last week was that they're introducing a new horizontal machining centre into the range, which is the first time I've seen this from Brother.
Why?
I think they've noticed the fact that a horizontal is something that they don't have, so it's a great product to have. But if I look at it from the outside looking in, I'm thinking one of the problems with a high-speed vertical potentially is swarf, traps, getting swarf out of parts. Certainly when you're removing a lot of material quickly. Horizontal, you get the benefit of that not being a problem. Access to components, more operations, by indexing. So having a horizontal as well, and it's tiny. It's tiny. You've got to go and see this machine. It's really, really small as well.
Has it got a 5-axis head on the
No,
component?
this is just
so
just
you'll be accessing that horizontal face.
Yeah,
Is it like Geo, tiny?
It's smaller. It's even smaller, would you believe?
Sure,
He has
it can't
grown a
be.
lot lately. But it's got the same tool changer mechanism above, so it's extremely quick for the tool changing. That's just one thing. They've also got, or one of the things that I have noted as well, is that their U500XD1, which is a small 5-axis machine. And a lot of people will look at Brothers and think you'll see them twin pallets with a 4th axis unit, and they rotate, and you're indexing the table to get to various sides. They've now got like a trunnion double supported 5-axis machine, which again is really small. And then of course we can't not talk about their M300 and their M200 machines. They're machines that are 5-axis machines with turning on them. They've got automation there, where they've got their BV7 robot and their auto loading system, so they're lights out unmanned operation as well. So there's really is a lot to see if you're a milling shop. If you mill prismatic parts. And even if you have turn parts now where you're looking to do things in one operation.
I was going to say, if someone's got a sliding head shop and they're kind of turning down work that's just a bit too big for their machinery.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe a milling machine would really complement that kind of machinery.
I agree. I 100% agree. I think really you'd go on that stand with your eyes open, because there's a lot you can do in the modern day to improve the processes that you're doing using the technologies that they offer.
Yeah. So let's just say then, if you want your eyes opened in terms of technology, then make sure you visit the Brother stand. That's probably the best thing to say, because I'm not going to narrow it down, because they've got new machines, new tech coming out. It's really exciting. Okay, there you have it. That is our EMO special. It's one of a few that we're going to do, purely because we want to help you when you're at the show see that technology and be a little bit more time efficient as well, because it is such a big event. I mean, if you realistically, if you went to EMO and you spent 15 minutes on every stand, I don't think you'd get round.
You wouldn't be able to. I mean, we go for a week. As there's going to be 20 of us there. We're going to be on around about 50 stands. We've obviously got to be conscious of that, and it would be tough for us to get round any more than that. But we'd like to think within those 50, we're covering pretty much some of the best technology that you'll see at the event.
Absolutely. Well, I look forward to hearing part 2 of our EMO special. Thanks, team.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
From the 18th to the 23rd of September, MTD will be at EMO 2023 in Hanover. So what are you waiting for? Get in touch, get ready, and get excited about EMO.